They will soon see the consequences. I believe there are people in that very region, and they are not few, who are counting down the minutes to give these individuals, American troops, the reception they deserve.
Reports suggest President Trump's proposed invasion plans face serious obstacles as Iranian officials publicly deride the prospect. In a televised statement, an aide to Mojtaba issued a stark warning to any U.S. troops contemplating an invasion. Analysts argue that any plan to seize Kharg Island would be doomed to fail before it begins, citing logistical factors that would complicate occupation efforts. Tehran's rhetoric suggests it would both claim and likely seek to inflict further U.S. casualties in the event of a ground invasion, building on recent air raid strikes that already resulted in American fatalities and raising the stakes of any escalation. Iran's foreign ministry issued a stern, public warning directed at President Trump as his administration discussed possible invasion options, portraying Washington's threats as provocative and unlawful. Spokesperson Esmaiel Baghaei told state media that Kharg Island residents were prepared to resist and give U.S. troops the reception they deserve, language intended to convey civilian as well as military opposition to any landing. The timing of Tehran's warning came after public comments from President Trump about a potential operation targeting Kharg Island, linking diplomatic protest with direct rhetorical pushback.
They will soon see the consequences. I believe there are people in that very region, and they are not few, who are counting down the minutes to give these individuals, American troops, the reception they deserve. We have seen and tested their so-called readiness for diplomacy before. When the United States talks about diplomacy, it actually means dictation, intimidation, threats, and sanctions. Definitely, as long as they are in that position and seek imposing their demands on the Iranian nation, our response will be defending Iran's dignity and national sovereignty. Proposals have been put forward and conveyed to us by the mediators. We have received them, but please excuse me from going into their details. However, the main point that the diplomatic apparatus has been active and that ideas from some mediators have reached us is confirmed. We have asked them, neighboring countries, repeatedly to, in line with their obligations under international law and the principle of good neighborliness, stop America from using their territory and facilities to attack an Islamic country. What we are doing is self-defense, under the natural right to legitimate defense. As long as these crimes and military aggression against Iran continue, our armed forces will continue to respond.
Tehran's statement coincided with media reporting that U.S. planners were reviewing potential ground options in the region, a convergence that heightened diplomatic tensions and public alarm. Leaks and reporting about U.S. contingency plans named Kharg Island seizure and precision attacks on Pickaxe Mountain among proposed options, measures that Iranian officials specifically called provocative. On July 14, the president publicly said he might authorize a ground campaign if it seems appropriate, comments that Tehran seized upon as evidence of imminent threat and used to justify its strong public rebuttals. The president also floated the idea that allied regional partners could take operational responsibility for controlling Kharg Island, a suggestion critics say would not eliminate the political and military risks of occupation. Iran's aggressive tone came as the U.S. confirmed 2 service members had been killed in an Iranian missile strike on a U.S. base in Jordan, a fact that deepened the rhetorical and operational friction between the parties. U.S. officials said the fatalities and multiple injuries resulted from an Iranian missile strike on a U.S. position in Jordan, an incident that has driven calls for both restraint and decisive response within Washington. A former Iranian official has claimed the United States is preparing for a possible ground invasion of Iran. Askar Ibrahimi Azal told Iran International that Washington is building up military infrastructure across the Gulf region. The former deputy oil minister alleged that the U.S. is expanding its military presence in countries, including the United Arab Emirates. He also claimed that foreign mercenaries are being recruited as part of preparations for a potential future operation. Ibrahimi Azal alleged that any ground offensive could target Qeshm Island or other areas along Iran's southern coastline. He also identified Kharg Island as another possible objective in any future U.S. military campaign. According to Ibrahimi Asl, Washington could delay any potential ground invasion until cooler weather arrives in September. As the Iran-America war restarts and tensions spike once again, a former Iranian minister has publicly suggested a daredevil military plan, hinting at a dramatic escalation on the battlefield. Manoucha Motaki has reportedly proposed launching a direct ground assault on a US military base in the Middle East, a move that would mark a bold and risky new phase in Iran's strategy. Motaki, who now serves as a parliamentarian, has gone further by reportedly saying that Iran must aim to abduct US troops during such an operation, framing this as a way to change the war's dynamics. His explosive comments were reported by the Iran International News outlet on July 15, instantly igniting debate over whether Tehran might actually attempt such a high-stakes mission. After initially suggesting the abduction of around 100 Americans, Motaki later escalated his rhetoric and called for taking thousands of US personnel, dramatically raising the stakes in his proposed plan. He said, quote, "My proposal is that we launch a ground attack on one of the US bases in the region, capture 100 Americans and bring them to Iran. We should launch a ground attack on US military bases in the region, seize one of them, take thousands of American soldiers prisoner and bring them to Iran. We must begin the ground offensive, something the Americans threatened for a long time but never dared to carry out," unquote. Satellite images released by Iranian media show before and after views of locations allegedly hit during Iran's retaliatory attacks. According to Press TV, the imagery focuses on military facilities located in Bahrain, Kuwait, and Qatar. Military analysts say the images appear to indicate damage at multiple facilities associated with US military operations. Earlier satellite assessments had already pointed to damage involving aircraft hangars, radar systems, and other military infrastructure. The latest imagery has reignited debate over the true extent of damage suffered by US forces during the conflict. Analysts caution that while some of the images have been verified, others have been identified as AI-generated or misleading. As the exchange of strikes continues, the satellite evidence is expected to intensify global scrutiny of the ongoing US-Iran conflict.
$25 करोड़ गरीब गरीबी को परास्त करके बाहर निकले।
For the good of our nation, let's work together and let's truly make America great again.
The fastest news breaks.
Requested PM saying that look, you will have to speak to Putin and to Zelensky.
The biggest news makers.
The relationship with India is probably the most important bilateral relationship the US will have for the rest of this century.
The capital delivered quite an election result today.
Expert analysis.
The million-dollar question today is how to stop this dance of death.
Ground reports.
I'm standing at the crossroad of the Kumbh Mela. Behind me are more than 100 entry ghats.
Long-form interviews.
Exclusionary politics is reflected in Manipur case as well. You don't bother because this is a small state.
Have you ever wondered what happens when a banking dynasty meets tides of world history, intrigue, and a dash of myth?
Why exactly did the US topple the Sheikh Hasina government?
HT videos. We don't just break news, we break it down.